Welcome back to the deep dive, everyone. And wow, we've really reached a critical point here. This is it, the big one, our grand finale for season 2. We're wrapping up this season by taking an essential look at these profound shifts happening in how we all access information online. Now, for those of you who've been with us since season 1, you'll probably remember we kicked things off by dissecting that huge transformation from 10 blue links to AI answers. We highlighted that massive shift, didn't we? Moving from just, passively clicking a list of links to actively getting a direct AI-driven answer surface. Yeah. We even introduced the concept of Generative Engine Optimization, GEO, as that new framework, the key to making sure your content stays visible, stays valuable in this, rapidly changing landscape.
Absolutely. That groundwork from season 1 was crucial because it set the stage for everything we've explored this season.
Exactly. And season 2, as you know, has really built significantly on that foundation. I mean, we've dug into the intricate changes in user behavior, right? Mm-hmm. How AI systems are now sort of inferring our latent needs, what we really want, and even proactively orchestrating actions for us. We looked at the shifting GEO landscape, the new gatekeepers GeoPAM, remember that one? The continuous evolution of information retrieval moving beyond keywords, and the actual architecture, the nuts and bolts of modern AI search. We've spent weeks meticulously peeling back layer after layer of this revolution.
It's been quite a journey, peeling that onion.
It really has. So now, as we bring season 2 to a close, we're ready. We're diving headfirst into S2E5, the new search war. Deconstructing the AI search engine and ecosystem.
And this really is. It's more than just, another tech upgrade for search engines. It's not just a new feature. What we're witnessing, what's truly at play here, is a radical industry confrontation. It's a complete reshaping, maybe even a redefining of how humanity interacts with knowledge itself.
That's a big statement, but it feels right.
Well, think about it. The fundamental nature of how we discover information, how we process it, how we verify it, and ultimately how we decide to trust it. All of that is being redefined right now, in real time. It's a high-stakes game, a multi-front battle, really. And the outcome, it's going to influence nearly every single digital interaction you have.
Absolutely. No pressure then. So, okay, for this deep dive, our mission, our goal is crystal clear. We are going to thoroughly deconstruct the AI search infrastructure, the tech underneath it all, and the surrounding ecosystem that's powering this huge battle. Our aim for you, our dedicated listener, is that you emerge from this conversation, not just informed, but genuinely well-versed. We want you to really understand the underlying technologies, the complex machinery, and the sophisticated strategic plays that are shaping the future of knowledge access.
We'll definitely unpack that tech stack.
Yeah, we'll get into the tech stack. We'll clarify how retrieval augmented generation, RAG, we'll be talking a lot about RAG, how it transforms these large language models, these LLMs, into dynamic instant reasoners. And most critically, we'll analyze the strategic layout. We'll look at the ecosystem dynamics of the major players, Google, OpenAI, Microsoft CoPilot, Perplexity. They're all vying for control in this new search war. So get ready, because this deep dive, I think, is genuinely designed to profoundly shift your perspective on something as seemingly simple as search.
The battlefield defined from blue links to AI answers.
Okay, so to truly appreciate the scale, the sheer intensity of this new search war, we absolutely have to start with a quick look back, just for contrast, for
right.
Almost a quarter century. We all lived within what felt like this almost eternal traditional search paradigm.
It felt permanent, didn't it?
It really did. You know it intimately, the query and click model. You type something in, you get a list. Those iconic 10 blue links, they were the universal gateway to pretty much everything online. That was the unchallenged norm, our digital comfort zone.
It absolutely was. And what's often overlooked, I think, is just how deeply ingrained that whole process became in our digital habits, our muscle memory almost. You, the user, you'd start by typing keywords into that search box. Simple enough. That was your query input. Then behind the scenes, the search engine would go off and scour its incredibly vast inverted index.
It was like a giant library catalog.
Exactly. A monstrously detailed catalog listing basically every significant word on every index page and exactly where it could be found. That was the index search phase. Pretty straightforward retrieval in concept, but then the complex part. Hundreds, maybe thousands of really sophisticated algorithms would kick in. PageRank, of course, is the famous one, but also tons of other factors.
That's how fresh the content was. Site authority.
Precisely. Freshness, authority, trust signals, even aggregated user behavior signals like what people clicked on, all fed into this meticulous ordering and ranking process. That was the sorting and ranking phase. Hugely complex.
And the result was that list.
The result was that curated list, yeah. Usually those 10 most relevant blue link, your link presentation. But here's the really crucial part, the bit we often didn't consciously think about, the element that truly defined that whole user experience,
Yeah.
the actual synthesis of information. The search engine found the documents, yes, but your brain did the heavy lifting.
Ah, right. The clicking and comparing.
Exactly. You, the user, you were tasked with clicking on multiple links, jumping between different web pages, scanning, reading, comparing snippets, cross-referencing different fragments of information. And then finally, after all that work, synthesizing the definitive answer or the closest thing to it in your own mind. We call this artificial synthesis, but the artificial part wasn't the machine, it was you. The human performed the complex cognitive work of assembling knowledge from pieces.
Exactly. And when you really stop and think about it, the amount of cognitive burden, the mental work, placed squarely on the user was, well, it was immense. Google, obviously, built this unprecedented trillion-dollar advertising empire on the back of doing that document retrieval part. Incredibly well-achieving, massive scale, incredible speed, algorithmic sophistication.
They mastered that part.
They absolutely mastered it. But that whole paradigm, it had inherent limitations, didn't it? Bottlenecks. It was undeniably inefficient for the user. It demanded a significant investment of your time, your mental energy. And it was so highly dependent on your initiative, your willingness to actually put in that manual labor of synthesis.
The grunt work.
Yeah, the grunt work.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about your own experience, anyone listening. How many browser tabs have you typically had open when you were researching something important? Maybe trying to plan a trip, or diagnose a weird noise your car was making, or compare complex financial products, or even just understand a nuanced political issue.
Oh, don't get me started on trip planning.
Right, that endless clicking, the constant back and forth, the mental juggling act, trying to piece together information from all these disparate sources. That's the manual labor we're talking about. That's the artificial synthesis we as users were constantly performing, often without even realizing the cognitive load it was putting on us.
Yeah.
It was this huge, unspoken frustration for so many people.
And that profound, pervasive user frustration, that's precisely where expectations started to fundamentally shift. It created an opening. The decisive catalyst, the thing that really blew it open, was the unexpected arrival of generative chatbots like ChatGPT. They seemed to appear almost out of nowhere.
Yeah, it felt like overnight.
It did, and suddenly people experienced this, well, this undeniable magic of getting complete, coherent, well-structured answers directly. Not just a list of places where answers might be hidden.
This is where it gets truly transformative, isn't it? Because once people saw that, once they experienced that seamless, direct, often incredibly articulate answer generation, their patience for the old way, for that traditional manual labor, opening 10 tabs, piecing things together themselves, it just evaporated. Almost overnight. The old contract with search where you were the detective digging for clues, that was suddenly broken. Users were no longer content being information archaeologists.
They didn't want to dig anymore.
No. They craved answers. Clear, concise, synthesized answers. And they wanted them now, without all that cognitive overhead.
Precisely. This undeniable, rapidly accelerating user desire for answers, not just links, coupled with the explosion of breakthroughs in large language model technology, that was the spark. That's what ignited what we're now calling the new search war. The whole strategic goal shifted dramatically and, I think, irrevocably. It wasn't enough anymore to just index the entire web and serve links efficiently. The new objective became building a veritable brain.
A digital brain.
Sort of. A sophisticated, intelligent system capable of understanding complex queries, retrieving relevant information from everywhere, and then instantly synthesizing global knowledge and presenting it directly to the user in a consumable, coherent format. That's the new frontier. That's the prize they're all fighting for.
And so, with that, we officially entered the dawn of generative search. And we need to stress, this isn't just a faster horse, right? It's not just a souped-up version of the old search engine.
Not at all. It's a fundamentally new paradigm, a complete re-architecture.
We're talking about a generative search engine, an intelligent system designed from the ground up to directly understand the context of your question, synthesize information from potentially vast sources, and then generate the answer, effectively, gracefully removing that burdensome manual synthesis task from you, the user.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's a profound architectural shift happening at every single level. The old model fundamentally was a retrieval ranking pipeline. Find documents, rank documents. The new model is an understanding retrieval synthesis generation pipeline. Much more complex, much more powerful.
Understanding comes first now.
Understanding is key. This entirely new AI search infrastructure, powered by these advanced LLMs, is what's driving this transformation. It's about moving beyond simply finding relevant documents to truly comprehending queries, creatively generating responses, and delivering actionable knowledge directly. This isn't just iteration, it's a complete reimagination of how we access information.
So, okay, boiling it down. What does all of this mean for you, the individual listener, the person just trying to find stuff online? Well, it signals a fundamentally different way you'll seek out information in your daily life. You'll increasingly receive direct, often comprehensive answers instead of having to sift through piles of links yourself. And crucially, if you're a content creator, a publisher, a brand, it means the very rules of visibility, of value, indeed the rules of survival for your content have changed at their core. It's a game changer across the board. It impacts how information flows, how value is created, and how it's captured online. Big stuff.
The weapons of war deconstructing the AI search infrastructure.
All right. Now that we've sort of defined the evolving battlefield, this shift from links to answers, let's talk about the actual arsenal. Let's get into the technology. What are the underlying technologies driving this fierce competition? Because behind this epic battle for the future of search, there's a really fascinating array of core technologies. You can think of these not as specific products from Google or Microsoft, but as the fundamental, indispensable tools that every major player, regardless of their specific strategy or brand, relies on to wage this new search war.
They're the essential building blocks.
Exactly, the building blocks of modern AI search.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture again, understanding these weapons, as you call them, it isn't just about learning some technical jargon. It's absolutely key to grasping the true capabilities, the inherent limitations, and crucially, the future potential of these new generative search engines. These concepts, embeddings, or ad re-ranking, they aren't just buzzwords. They represent a fundamental shift in how machines process information, how they understand it, and ultimately how they deliver it to you.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's start with weapon one, embedded retrieval and vector databases. From keywords to semantic understanding. This, for me, feels like one of the most fundamental paradigm shifts. We're moving beyond that literal search for exact keywords.
Right, matching strings of text.
To a much deeper understanding of the meaning, the semantics behind the words we use. How does this remarkable change actually work under the hood? What's going on there?
This is really the foundation for achieving what we now call semantic search. And its main job is moving beyond that classic vocabulary mismatch problem. The core workflow, how it functions, starts with something called an embedding model. These are highly sophisticated AI models. Their job is to convert any piece of text, could be your search query, a document on the web, a specific paragraph, even metadata tied to an image or a video into what's known as a high-dimensional vector.
Okay, a vector, like in math.
Exactly like in math. Imagine this vector as a unique numerical fingerprint for that piece of text. It's a long string of numbers, maybe hundreds or even thousands of numbers long. And this string mathematically represents the nuanced meaning, the semantic essence of that text.
So similar meanings get similar numbers.
That's the magic. Content that is semantically similar, meaning it conveys a similar idea or explores a related topic, will have vectors that are numerically close to each other in this vast, abstract mathematical space, this vector space. So during the indexing phase, all the searchable content gets transformed into these vectors. Then they're efficiently stored in specialized databases designed just for this purpose, vector databases. You might hear names like Pinecone, Milvus, Weaviate, Chroma. Then when you, the user, type in a query, your query also gets instantly converted into its own vector. The system then uses a clever technique, usually called approximate nearest neighbor, ANN search, to very quickly find all the vectors in its massive database that are most numerically similar, most nearby to your query vector. And that's precisely how it identifies and retrieves semantically related content, even if that content doesn't contain the exact keywords you used in your search.
Okay, that makes sense conceptually. But this raises an important question. Why is this such a game changer? For someone who's just used Google for, 20 years, what's the real tangible value this offers over just matching keywords?
Oh, the value is immense, truly immense, because, as I mentioned, it fundamentally solves that vocabulary mismatch problem. Historically, think about it. If you searched for, say, large feline predators, but the best, most relevant document used words like tiger, lion, or jaguar, a purely keyword-based search might actually struggle to connect those concepts.
Right, because the words large feline predators aren't in the document.
Exactly. You knew what you meant, but if your specific phrasing didn't perfectly match the document's wording, you might miss crucial information. You'd have to try different synonyms, guess how the author wrote it. It was frustrating. With embedded retrieval, the system understands the concept of large feline predators because its vector is close to the vectors for tiger and lion, so it can retrieve those documents even if your exact search words aren't present. It's the key, really, to achieving true intention understanding, moving beyond literal word matching to grasping the conceptual meaning. It's a quantum leap in relevance and accuracy, and it drastically reduces that frustration of knowing the information is out there, but not being able to find it just because you use slightly different words.
Okay, that's powerful. So through this vector retrieval, you've now got potentially a big pile of relevant documents, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands, but it can still be quite large. It maybe contains some noise, some things that are related, but not quite right. And as we know, just being relevant isn't always the same as being perfectly useful or accurate for the specific thing I asked.
Absolutely. Relevance is necessary, but not sufficient.
So how do we refine that initial pile? That's where Weapon 2, the re-ranking layer, comes in, I gather. It's like a more sophisticated filter.
Exactly, you've nailed it. The initial candidate set you get from embedded retrieval, while much better than keyword search alone, can indeed be extensive. And sometimes it still contains information that's, topically related but not optimally useful for generating a precise, high-quality answer. The re-ranking layer acts as this highly refined second-stage filter. It typically employs a more computationally intensive, more sophisticated type of AI model, often what's called a cross-encoder model.
A cross-encoder, what does that do differently?
Well, unlike the embedding model, which creates a vector for each item independently, a cross-encoder performs deep interactive calculations on each query document pair. It looks at your query and a potential result together and scores how well that specific document answers that specific query. To use an analogy, if the vector database gives you a big pile of potentially related books, like finding all the books generally about animals in a huge library,
Okay.
the cross-encoder is like a super smart, highly specialized librarian who then reads relevant passages in each one in the context of your specific nuanced question. Say, how do specific types of large cats hunt in groups? And then ranks those books precisely by how well they answer that specific question, not just based on their general topic. It's a much deeper level of scrutiny.
Gotcha. So it's looking at more than just topic relevance. What kind of criteria does it use?
It considers multiple, often hundreds of complex criteria. It definitely still looks at traditional signals, the things search engines have cared about for years. A source's overall authority, how fresh or recent the content is, various user experience signals derived from clicks or dwell time, those still matter. But critically, vitally, it now also evaluates for something new, LLM friendliness.
LLM friendliness. What does that mean in practice?
It's a crucial new dimension. It means how well is this content structured for an AI, specifically a large language model, to easily digest, understand, and synthesize information from it. This includes really granular things about the content structure. Are there clear headings and subheadings? Are complex points broken down into bulleted lists or numbered steps? Are there small, clearly labeled tables for data? What's the factual density?
Factual density, like less fluff.
Exactly. How much concrete, verifiable information is packed in there versus, vague marketing copy or repetitive filler? Is the writing concise and directly to the point? All these structural and stylistic elements make it dramatically easier for an LLM to accurately parse the content, extract the key facts, and synthesize them effectively. This makes them the most extractable pieces of content for the AI.
That's fascinating. So this re-ranking layer, it sounds like it directly determines the quality, the actual substance of what the LLM ultimately reads and uses to build its answer.
It absolutely does. It acts as this critical gatekeeper.
A gatekeeper for quality.
Precisely. Ensuring the accuracy and the overall quality of the final generated answers. Without the sophisticated re-ranking, even a really powerful LLM could end up being fed subpar, confusing, or even contradictory information from that initial retrieval pool.
Right. So, for example, if I search for apple.
Yeah, that's a classic example. Your initial vector search might easily bring up articles about the fruit and articles about Apple Incorporated, the tech company. They are semantically related in some ways. But the re-ranking layer, by understanding the deeper context of your specific query, maybe you asked Apple stock price versus best way to store apples. And by evaluating the LLM friendliness and factual density related to either the fruit or the company, helps distinguish between them and strongly prioritizes the truly useful content for your specific need. It's about ensuring the LLM isn't just getting relevant data, but optimal data for the synthesis task ahead.
Okay, that clarifies the filtering. Now let's talk about the big one. Weapon 3. Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. You mentioned this earlier. This feels like the crucial bridge, the thing that connects everything we've discussed so far. The embeddings, the vector databases, the re-ranking, it seems absolutely central. We know LLMs, in their raw, pure form, have some pretty significant inherent limitations, right?
Definitely.
Like their knowledge cutoff. They only know what they were trained on up to a certain date, which means they could be hopelessly out of date for current events or rapidly changing information. And, of course, the big one, the hallucination problem, where they confidently just make things up, things that sound plausible but are entirely false. Our RAG is designed to tackle these head-on, isn't it?
RAG is indeed the most transformative and currently the most widely adopted architectural model for generative search, precisely because it directly addresses those core LLM limitations, the knowledge cutoff and the tendency to hallucinate. It fundamentally changes how LLMs operate. It allows them to effectively access, process, and integrate external, often real-time knowledge into their responses. The typical workflow involves 3 distinct sequential steps.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's the search phase. Your user query comes in, and it triggers that advanced retrieval system we just spent time dissecting the embedding models, find related concepts. The vector databases provide the candidates, and crucially, the sophisticated re-ranking layer filters and prioritizes them. This system goes out and fetches the latest, most authoritative, and most relevant knowledge fragments from the web or internal databases or whatever designated data sources are configured. These fragments are very carefully selected for their potential to ground the LLM's eventual response in actual fact.
So it finds the best, most current snippets of info first.
Exactly. Then comes the second step, enhancement. These retrieved knowledge fragments, these snippets are then used as context. Think of it like giving the LLM a comprehensive set of highly relevant real-time factual notes. It's almost like allowing it an open book exam, but the book contains only the most pertinent, up-to-date information for the specific question asked. This context is then combined with your original query to form a much more detailed, extended prompt that gets fed to the LLM. It's like giving the LLM a specific research brief or a cheat sheet containing all the verifiable current information it needs to construct an accurate answer.
Got it. So you provide the evidence first,
And
then finally you get to the generate phase. The LLM, now armed with this explicit factual context, produces its answer. But here's the defining characteristic of AJ. The LLM is strictly instructed, constrained really, to generate its response based only on the information provided within that context.
only on the provided context. Only. It's not supposed to draw on its potentially outdated or inaccurate internal training data for the core facts of the answer. It should use its language skills to synthesize the provided context smoothly. This stringent constraint is what dramatically, fundamentally reduces the likelihood of hallucinations. It ensures factual accuracy, it provides timeliness because the retrieved context is fresh, and it allows for direct traceability. You can often see exactly which retrieved fragment supports which part of the answer.
Wow. That is a profound shift. So boiling it down again, what does RAG fundamentally change about LLMs in practical terms? How does it change what they are?
You've hit on the core of it. RAG transforms an LLM from what was essentially a static knowledge base. You could think of it almost as a very, very smart autocomplete engine that was trained on historical data.
Right, snapshot in time.
Exactly, a snapshot. It transforms it into a dynamic instant reasoner. It allows the LLM to effectively process and reason over information that it was not explicitly trained on during its initial massive training run. This means it can offer responses that possess both the natural language fluency and the coherence that LLMs are famous for, combined with the accuracy and the timeliness that comes from verifiable external knowledge sources. It's the core mechanism, really, that allows us to get factual, up-to-date answers without the AI just making things up. It's absolutely central to the entire generative search experience we're seeing emerge. It basically gives LLMs access to the live internet, but in a controlled, factual way.
Okay, that's RAG, hugely important. And then the final piece in this sophisticated arsenal, the last weapon we need to understand, and one that really feels like it anticipates your needs before you even fully articulate them. That's weapon 4, query expansion and intent mining, understanding the implications. It really feels like with this, we're not just asking one isolated question anymore. It feels like the AI is actively trying to anticipate our next 5 questions.
That's an excellent way to conceptualize it. It really is about moving beyond the surface query. This technology leverages the incredible language understanding capabilities of modern LLMs to predict your potential underlying needs and intentions. It takes a single, often short, or maybe even slightly ambiguous query and transforms it internally into a much richer intent network or a series of interconnected sub-questions. The system is proactively trying to understand the deeper implications of your query, the surrounding context, the related facets, the full range of potential information you might actually be seeking, even if you didn't explicitly type it all out.
Can you give an example of how that might work?
Sure. Let's say you type in a fairly simple query, like Paris travel. An older system might just look for general articles on Paris tourism, but a system using advanced query expansion and intent mining might internally generate a whole network of related subqueries or predicted user intents. Things like, what are the must-see attractions in Paris? Quote, show me a possible 3-day Paris travel itinerary. What are the current Paris metro ticket prices? What's the best time of year to travel to Paris? Recommend some authentic Parisian cuisine and restaurants, or maybe even what are the visa requirements for U.S. citizens traveling to France?
Wow, okay, so it breaks down the big topic into all the likely follow-up questions someone would have.
Exactly. It's anticipating the full scope of what you really want to know when you express a general interest in Paris travel. It uses its world knowledge and understanding of common travel planning patterns to flesh out your initial request.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this capability must greatly improve the coverage and the recall rate of the whole retrieval process, doesn't it?
Absolutely. By proactively searching for answers to these predicted sub-questions, it ensures that the final synthesized answer is far more holistic, much more comprehensive, and ultimately more satisfying for the user. It often covers aspects you hadn't even thought to explicitly ask about yet, all within that initial interaction.
So it saves you time and effort.
Precisely. For you, the learner, the person seeking information, this translates directly into significantly fewer follow-up searches. You get more complete, richer answers right from the very first interaction. It makes the whole information gathering process vastly more efficient and much more intuitive. It's really about fulfilling your likely information needs almost before you fully articulate them yourself. It's quite powerful when done well.
The contender strategies in the new search war.
All right, so now that we've thoroughly deconstructed the weapons, these core underlying technologies like embeddings, re-ranking, Erie query, expansion, the tech that makes this new kind of search possible, let's turn our attention to the warriors themselves. Let's meet the contenders, because as you said earlier, this isn't a monolithic single front battle. It's way more complex.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted.
Yeah, with diverse players, each approaching the future of search from a different strategic starting point, with different strengths, different weaknesses, and really a distinct vision for what search should be.
Indeed. Each of these major players possesses, unique visions, and they've definitely carved out distinct paths forward. They're leveraging their inherent strengths, their historical advantages, sometimes their historical baggage too, all in an effort to shape the future of search in their own image, according to their own strategic priorities. Understanding their individual strategies, looking at their core technical architectures, how they actually put these weapons together, and understanding their specific challenges. That's absolutely crucial to grasping how this new search war is likely to unfold and ultimately how it's going to impact you.
Okay, let's kick things off with the undisputed incumbent, the Titan, the 800-pound gorilla of search. 1. Google. The integrator's defense. Their strategy, as you might expect from a dominant market leader, feels very much like it's about defense, yes, but also strategic evolution. They seem to be meticulously leveraging their existing, just colossal advantages to seamlessly integrate this new generative AI into their established search experience.
That's exactly right. Google's core advantages are, well, they're almost unparalleled. They represent decades of building and maintaining dominant market presence. First, there's their index scale. It's simply unmatched. Literally the largest, most diverse index of web pages, images, videos, academic papers, product information, local listings, just multimodal content from across the globe.
The scale is mind-boggling.
It really is. Then they have this deep, almost instinctual understanding of user intent. That comes from decades of analyzing billions upon billions of daily search queries. It gives them the world's most powerful capabilities for query classification, understanding ambiguity, and performing sophisticated query expansion. They know what people mean, often better than the people themselves.
And the knowledge graph.
Ah, yes, the knowledge graph. That's another huge asset. It's this intricate, structured web of real-world entities, people, places, organizations, concepts, and all the relationships between them. This provides an absolutely indispensable cornerstone for fact-checking their LLM outputs, for sophisticated relational reasoning, and for answering factual queries directly without even needing to synthesize from web pages sometimes. And then, perhaps most powerfully from a strategic perspective, let's not overlook their almost impenetrable distribution channels.
You mean Android? Chrome?
Exactly. Android's dominance in mobile operating systems, Chrome's position as the leading web browser on desktops and mobile, and crucially, all those incredibly lucrative default search engine agreements they have with device manufacturers like Apple. All of this makes Google the automatic first stop, the default starting point for billions of users around the globe. It's hard to overstate that advantage. One really has to wonder, how does any challenger, no matter how innovative, even begin to compete against such an entrenched, multifaceted giant? It's a truly formidable defensive position.
It's an absolutely colossal challenge for anyone trying to take them on. And their technical architecture, which we see most clearly in features like AI overviews, that definitely reflects this integration-first strategy, doesn't it?
It does. You can see the pieces working together.
Yeah, so when you submit a query to Google now, especially one that might trigger an AI overview, it goes through this really intense multi-stage process. First, there's query understanding and expansion, leveraging both their traditional strengths and their new LLMs, like Gemini, to decompose your query, rewrite it, expand it into this complex network of subqueries. This is all about ensuring they don't miss any angle, any aspect of your underlying intent.
Covering all the bases.
Exactly. Then, following that, it performs what they call a multi-source fan-out search. It sends these intelligently expanded subqueries out in parallel to its massive specialized index repositories. Not just the main web index, but also their local results index, news archives, video platforms like YouTube, their vast image databases, and of course, querying the knowledge graph directly. It's pulling from everywhere simultaneously.
Casting a very wide net.
A very wide, very informed net. It then combines traditional vocabulary matching techniques like the classic BM25 algorithm.
Which basically measures keyword frequency and uniqueness.
Right. It combines that with their newer vector semantic retrieval methods for a hybrid retrieval and aggregation approach. This efficiently gathers all the potential candidate content from all those diverse sources. Best of both worlds, retrieval-wise.
Combining lexical and semantic signals.
Then there's a really sophisticated multi-level reordering phase. This is where powerful cross-modal re-ranking models get applied. These models consider everything: traditional relevance signals, source authority, content freshness, but crucially, as we discussed, also that LLM friendliness. How well is this piece of content structured for AI consumption?
Filtering and prioritizing again.
Precisely. Filtering down to the absolute best snippets. Finally, the LLM synthesis step kicks in, powered by their flagship Gemini model. Gemini uses these meticulously selected top results, these best snippets, as its grounding context to generate that concise, coherent overview. And importantly, it makes a conscious effort now, sometimes more successfully than others, to cite the original sources where the information came from. That citation piece has been a real point of contention and ongoing evolution for them.
It certainly has. And despite all these truly formidable advantages, the scale, the data, the distribution, the tech Google faces a unique and quite difficult set of challenges. It's often framed as the classic innovator's dilemma, isn't it? They have this incredibly successful existing business search advertising built on clicks.
The golden goose.
The multi-billion-dollar golden goose. They have to balance introducing this new generative AI user experience, which users clearly want, without completely undermining or cannibalizing their core search advertising revenue stream, which still largely relies on users clicking on those blue links, many of which are ads. Think about it.
Right.
If an AI overview answers your question perfectly at the top of the page, why would you click on any of the links below, including the ads?
Right. It short-circuits the old model.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
So Google is very carefully, very publicly experimenting with how to weave ads into or around the AI overview experience in a way that doesn't totally alienate users or destroy the value proposition of the overview itself. It's a very tricky needle to thread. Furthermore, as you mentioned, their AI overviews have faced pretty significant public scrutiny and some ridicule over issues with inaccurate citations and sometimes, frankly, bizarre hallucinations. Given Google's long-standing brand reputation for being authoritative and trustworthy.
Yeah, just Google it used to mean find the truth.
Exactly. So these incidents, even if statistically rare given the volume of queries, can pose a real threat to their credibility and user trust, which is foundational to their entire business. And let's not forget the sheer economics and engineering challenge. Generating a comprehensive, accurate AI answer using massive models like Gemini is significantly more computationally expensive, requires vastly more processing power, and often has higher latency. It takes longer than simply returning a pre-computed list of links. Doing that at Google scale for billions of queries a day presents an ongoing massive engineering and cost challenge.
Huge challenges, even for Google. Okay, let's shift gears. Let's move on to two, OpenAI, ChatGPT. The disruptive agent. They seem to be playing a fundamentally different game, don't they? It feels indirect, maybe more agile, definitely disruptive. And they are famously not building their own massive, expensive web index in the traditional Google sense. That choice alone gives them significant advantages, but also unique limitations.
That's precisely what makes their strategic approach so fascinating and potentially so dangerous to the incumbents. OpenAI's core advantages lie squarely in their world-class LLM capabilities. The GPT series of models, GPT 3.5, GPT-4, and whatever comes next, are widely recognized as industry benchmarks, not just for raw language generation fluency, but for their deep language understanding, their sophisticated reasoning abilities, their creativity, and their exceptional performance across a vast array of complex tasks. They set the standard for LLM power.
And the conversational interface is key too, right?
Absolutely. They offer a native conversational interaction paradigm. ChatGPT is a conversation. This naturally allows for deep, multi-turn query refinement and exploration. You can clarify, ask follow-ups, guide the AI. It's a much richer, more interactive way to seek information than just typing into a single search box and getting a static results page. And crucially, strategically, they possess immense flexibility precisely because they don't bear that colossal ongoing cost and the massive engineering burden of building and maintaining a comprehensive, constantly updated global web index.
Yeah.
That is a significant competitive differentiator.
It frees them up.
It totally frees them up. It allows them to choose partners more flexibly, as we've seen with their deep collaboration with Microsoft Bing for providing real-time web access when needed. What's truly intriguing here is their ability to function almost as an agile, AI-first intelligence layer that can be integrated into various ecosystems and products rather than needing to own the entire underlying information stack from crawling to indexing to serving. This potentially enables them to respond to market shifts and new opportunities with remarkable speed, unburdened by decades of legacy infrastructure or the need to protect an existing search ad business. They can move faster.
So how does their technical architecture actually work then, especially when it needs current information but doesn't have its own index, say in its web-enabled mode?
It's quite distinct and rather clever. The LLM itself, using its own reasoning capabilities, first determines if accessing external real-time information is actually necessary to answer the user's query, based on the ongoing conversational context. If it decides, yes, I need fresh data, it then generates highly optimized search queries internally. These queries are often more sophisticated, more targeted than what a human might type, designed specifically to get the right snippets. Then, instead of searching their own index, which doesn't exist in the traditional sense, it sends these intelligently crafted queries out via an API call to a partner search engine, like Microsoft Bing.
So it uses Bing as its retrieval engine?
Effectively, yes. For the initial list of potentially relevant URLs, Bing returns a list of URLs based on those queries. But here's the really key innovative step that differentiates OpenAI's approach. It then performs real-time crawling. At that moment, it goes out and fetches the full content of those identified web pages right then and there.
It crawls them on the fly.
On the fly. This dynamically captured live content is then swiftly processed, cleaned up, and fed as fresh, up-to-the-minute context to the LLM. The LLM then uses that context to synthesize the final answer for the user. It's an incredibly clever workaround. It allows them to provide current, web-grounded information without needing to make the enormous, ongoing investment in building and maintaining their own planet-scale index.
That is clever, but it sounds like it must have downsides too.
Oh, absolutely. This innovative approach, while agile, comes with its own unique set of significant challenges. First, real-time crawling, while flexible in principle, inherently introduces a higher degree of response latency compared to querying a pre-indexed, highly optimized database like Google's or Bing's. Your answer speed is directly tied to how quickly those external websites respond and how fast OpenAI can fetch and process their live content. It can feel slower sometimes.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, and perhaps more fundamentally, their search quality. The relevance, comprehensiveness, and freshness of the information they can access is deeply reliant on the quality of their third-party partner's index. In this case, Bing. If Bing's index happens to be missing a crucial new website, or isn't perfectly up-to-date on a rapidly changing topic, or ranks sources poorly, that limitation gets passed directly through to the ChatGPT user experience. They inherit the strengths, but also the weaknesses of their partner's index.
So they don't fully control their destiny in terms of information access.
Precisely. And related to that, their control and filtering capabilities over the content they dynamically crawl are inherently weaker than those of a search engine that fully indexes, analyzes, and curates its own data over time. They have less opportunity to build deep trust signals or apply complex filtering rules based on long-term site behavior. This definitely raises an important question about their long-term independence and strategic autonomy in the search space. Can they truly compete as a primary information source if they remain fundamentally reliant on third-party indexes for their foundational access to web knowledge? It's a key strategic vulnerability.
Okay, that's a clear picture of OpenAI's disruptive play. Now let's turn to their key partner in this dance. 3. Microsoft Copilot, Bing, the search native's ecosystem play. Microsoft's strategy with Copilot, which is deeply integrated with Bing search, feels like it's all about leveraging their existing strengths in search and, crucially, their massive enterprise ecosystem. They seem to be aiming to be the most mature, the most search-native AI experience out there. An AI that doesn't just answer, but actually acts and helps you do things.
That's a perfect way to put it. Microsoft is definitely leveraging its deep heritage in search with Bing and combining it powerfully with its dominant enterprise software footprint. Bing itself, let's not forget, has a mature, sophisticated global web indexing and search technology stack. It's really second only to Google in terms of overall scale, technical sophistication, and global reach. People often underestimate Bing's capabilities. It boasts powerful hybrid search capabilities right at its core. This means it deeply integrates traditional lexical vocabulary retrieval, that BM25 stuff, for exact matches with modern vector semantic retrieval for conceptual understanding right at the index level. This gives it potentially the best of both worlds: high precision for known items and excellent recall for broader concepts.
But the real differentiator is the ecosystem, right?
That is its truly unique killer feature. What really sets Microsoft's strategy apart is the profound enterprise-level integration of Copilot with the Microsoft 365 suite: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, as well as with the Windows operating system itself and the Edge browser. This creates what they explicitly call the action layer. This is where search moves far, far beyond merely providing static answers or links. It becomes a proactive assistant embedded within the tools you use every day to get work done.
That ecosystem integration sounds incredibly compelling, especially for business users. How does their technical architecture facilitate this?
Well, their architecture starts with robust query understanding, building upon Bing's existing well-developed capabilities for intent analysis, query parsing, and expansion. They've been doing this for years. This then feeds directly into their scaled hybrid search infrastructure, where both lexical and semantic retrieval methods work in concert, often in parallel, to gather a large, diverse set of candidate documents and data snippets from Bing's index.
Then the filtering.
Then comes a crucial context reordering step. This is where heavily trained, sophisticated re-ranking models, Microsoft has discussed models like their Orca series in this context, perform really fine-grained screening and deep contextual relevance analysis. Their job is to select the absolute most relevant, most useful, most trustworthy pieces of content specifically for grounding the LLM's response to the user's query. This meticulously chosen high-quality content is then packaged up as grounding context and provided to the underlying LLM, which is typically a state-of-the-art model like OpenAI's GPT-4, access through their partnership. This process is called LLM grounding and compositing.
Grounding again to prevent hallucinations.
Exactly. It strictly confines the model to generating its answer based on the provided facts, which drastically reduces the chance of hallucinations and ensures the generated answer is factually accurate and verifiable. But then comes the final, powerful step: presentation and action. The answers are presented clearly, often with direct clickable citations back to the original sources from the Bing index. And most importantly, the Copilot system can directly trigger interactions within the Microsoft 365 suite or Windows. So you can give commands like, "Hey Copilot, help me summarize this long web page as a Word document," or "draft an email reply based on this information and put it in Outlook for me," or "create a PowerPoint presentation outline from these bullet points." It's about seamlessly moving from information retrieval to direct productivity and action.
That action layer really does sound like a game changer, but they still face challenges, right? Google's dominance is hard to crack.
Absolutely. Despite these formidable strengths, particularly in the enterprise space and their innovative action layer, Microsoft Copilot, especially via Bing, still faces that steep uphill battle for consumer search market share against Google. Google's brand awareness, user habits, and default placements mean Bing still significantly lags behind in the general consumer search space. Many people just don't think of using Bing first. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, CoPilot's ultimate success, even in the enterprise, is inextricably tied to the overall success and the widespread adoption of Microsoft's entire ecosystem Windows, Microsoft 365, Azure. It's not just a battle of search engines anymore. It's truly a battle of integrated platforms and ecosystem confrontation, which adds a whole other layer of complexity to their challenge. Their biggest hurdle, and perhaps their biggest opportunity, is converting casual search users, or even just existing Microsoft customers, into deeply engaged ecosystem users who rely on Copilot for both information and action.
A battle of platforms. Okay, finally, in our roundup of contenders, let's turn our attention to a fascinating challenger. 4. Perplexity AI, the transparent answer engine's niche. This is a true challenger, isn't it? A relative newcomer compared to the others, but one that has rapidly gained significant traction and a loyal following. How? By focusing intensely, almost religiously, on extreme transparency and providing direct, source-cited answers. It offers a really fresh perspective in this heated search war.
Perplexity's approach is genuinely refreshing, I agree, especially in its singular focus and its unwavering commitment to building user trust through transparency. Its design philosophy is entirely AI native. This product was built from day one specifically for the new paradigm of generative AI search. That means it carries absolutely no historical baggage, no technical debt, no legacy business models tied to traditional keyword-based search or link clicking. It started with a clean slate focused on answers.
And its standout feature is the citations.
That is its standout defining advantage. Extreme transparency through citations. They place the citation sources at the absolute core of the user experience, not as an afterthought. Pretty much every single sentence, or at least every significant paragraph in its generated answers, is meticulously linked directly back to the original source document it came from, often with clear inline footnote markers or links. This establishes an incredibly high, almost instant level of trust with users. You can immediately see where the information came from and verify it yourself.
Right.
That's a crucial differentiator in an era where people are increasingly skeptical, and rightly so, of unsubstantiated AI-generated content.
And you mentioned it played a role in defining GEO.
Yes. What's truly fascinating here, especially for our listeners interested in content optimization and GEO, is that Perplexity effectively served as the experimental field, the proving ground, that really gave birth to and validated the core concepts of generative engine optimization. Researchers, SEOs, and content strategists closely observed how Perplexity processed information, how it understood structured content, how it prioritized certain types of sources, and crucially, what it chose to cite. By analyzing that, they were able to start defining the optimal ways to structure and present content to maximize the chances of AI understanding, synthesis, and ultimately, citation. Perplexity's architecture is explicitly designed to encourage and prominently highlight robust source citations. Its whole interface reinforces it. This makes it a kind of gold standard, or at least a leading example for transparent, verifiable answer generation. It's a pure-play answer engine, and it really shows in the product design.
So how does its technical architecture differ then? It still needs to retrieve and synthesize, right?
It does. Fundamentally, its pipeline shares the same core components. Retrieval, then re-ranking, then synthesis. That basic flow is becoming standard. However, Perplexity's specific algorithms and its user interface design are clearly biased towards rewarding certain characteristics in the source content. Their systems seem to heavily favor content that demonstrates high evidence density, meaning lots of verifiable facts, data points, statistics, concrete information, less waffle. They prioritize content from demonstrably authoritative sources, established publications, academic papers, reputable organizations, and they strongly prefer content presented in clear, highly structured formats using headings, lists, tables, etc., which makes extraction easier and more reliable.
Structure matters a lot to them.
It seems to matter immensely. Perplexity also actively uses sophisticated query expansion techniques, similar to the others, to explore your potential follow-up questions. And it prominently features a related questions function right in the interface, explicitly designed to guide you into a deeper, more comprehensive exploration of any given topic. Many of our listeners, I'm sure, have probably tried Perplexity by now and experienced its detailed, heavily cited answers firsthand. They can likely attest to the quality, the depth, and especially the trustworthiness that comes from knowing exactly where each piece of information originated.
It does build confidence, but being a startup in this space must be incredibly tough. What are their main challenges?
As an independent startup, especially one trying to compete directly with giants like Google and Microsoft, Perplexity faces significant, almost existential challenges. First, there's the issue of index scale. While they partner for some index access and do some crawling, Competing with Google's or Bing's comprehensive, constantly updated global index is an enormous, ongoing challenge. They might miss relevant information simply because it's not in the index they can access. Second, computing resources. Training and running the large language models needed for synthesis, plus the sophisticated retrieval and re-ranking systems, requires massive amounts of expensive computing power. Securing and affording this at scale is a huge hurdle for any startup. Third, charting a sustainable commercialization path. How do they make money? Subscriptions, enterprise offerings, partnerships. Finding a viable business model in a landscape dominated by ad-funded giants without compromising their core user experience is critical for their long-term survival.
Yeah, monetization is always the tricky part of challengers.
Absolutely. And finally, there's the challenge of balancing growth with their core identity. They need to continually expand their functionality and user features to meet more complex user needs and stay competitive. But they have to do this very carefully, without compromising the core, simple, transparent, and highly trusted user experience that defined their brand initially and built our loyal user base. It's a really delicate tightrope walk. Innovate and grow, but don't lose what made you special in the first place. It's a classic challenger dilemma.
The new playbook Generative Engine Optimization, GEO.
Okay, so we spent a good amount of time deconstructing the complex technology that fuels this new search paradigm. The vectors, the RIGs, the re-rankers. And we've met the major players, the contenders, locked in this intense battle for the future of search. Now, we need to pivot to the crucial question. What does all of this fundamentally mean for you? If you're a content creator, if you're a publisher, a brand, or even just an individual trying to make your voice heard, trying to get your information found online, what do you do now? The rules of the game, as we've hinted, have not just changed, they feel like they have been completely rewritten. We've spent years, decades even, talking about traditional SEO search engine optimization. Optimizing for keywords, building backlinks, focusing on technical site health, all with the goal of ranking high on those blue links and getting clicks.
The old playbook.
The old playbook. But that playbook, that whole paradigm, it's undeniably breaking down, isn't it? Or at least it's becoming radically incomplete in this new world.
It absolutely is. As you mentioned, we first introduced the concept of Generative Engine Optimization, or GEO, way back in Season 1 of this deep dive series. And it's clearer now, more than ever, that GEO isn't just a new discipline alongside SEO. It is the crucial new discipline for ensuring online visibility and impact moving forward. Why? Because it is no longer sufficient, not even close, to optimize your content solely for human readers clicking through from a list of links. That's table stakes, maybe. You must now fundamentally optimize your content for consumption and understanding by sophisticated AI systems. You need to optimize for synthetic consumption.
Synthetic consumption, meaning making it easy for the AI to process.
Exactly. Making it easy for the AI to accurately understand your content, implicitly trust its factual basis, and most importantly, feel confident enough to directly cite it to include it in the answers it generates for users. Your content needs to be fundamentally AI ready. It needs to be structured and written in a way that maximizes its utility for these generative engines.
Okay, so this raises a really important question. What exactly is this new triple standard of GEO? You've mentioned it before. Can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. Think of GEO as resting on 3 interconnected core pillars, 3 essential qualities that your content must embody to succeed in this new era. First, there's retrievability. This is your essential ticket to entry. Can the AI systems, using semantic search and vector retrieval, actually find your relevant content amidst the sheer vastness of the web in the first place? If they can't find it, nothing else matters.
Okay, step 1. Get found.
Step 1. Then there's extractability. This is your critical passport to grounding. Once found, can the AI easily and accurately pull out the relevant facts, the key data points, the core insights from your content without ambiguity, without confusion? Is it structured clearly?
Step 2. Be easy to understand and pull info from.
Precisely. And finally, the ultimate goal, trust. This is the key to actually getting cited, to having your content featured prominently, often with attribution in an AI-generated answer. Is your content deemed authoritative, credible, reliable, and factually sound enough for the AI to essentially vouch for it, to recommend it to the user? Your content must now be meticulously designed not only for your human readers, that's still important, but fundamentally for seamless AI synthesis. It's a dual audience now.
A dual audience.
Yeah.
Human and machine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's break down these critical rules, because for content creators listening, this is where the rubber really meets the road. Practical advice time. First, rule 1. Optimize for findability, win your ticket. As you said, you can pour your heart and soul into creating the most insightful, accurate, valuable content in the world. But if the AI search systems, the retrieval part of the RIG pipeline, can't find it, if it doesn't even surface in that initial semantic search phase, it's basically invisible, lost in the noise.
Absolutely. And optimizing for findability in the semantic search era goes far beyond just stuffing keywords into your text. That old tactic is becoming increasingly ineffective, maybe even counterproductive. Instead, you need to focus on writing natural, comprehensive content. This means moving past targeting just one or two narrow keywords and aiming to truly address the full scope, the full breadth of a topic. If we connect this to the bigger picture of user intent, it means striving to cover all relevant user intents surrounding a particular issue or question. Explore every important facet, every nuance. Provide a truly holistic understanding. Think in terms of building topic authority, not just achieving keyword density. Cover the subject completely.
Be comprehensive. What else for findability?
You also need to proactively enrich your metadata. This is crucial for helping AI understand non-text content and context. This includes crafting genuinely descriptive alt text and captions for all your images, providing detailed, informative titles for pages and sections, and critically, offering accurate, full transcripts for all your audio and video content. These elements are effectively the AI's eyes and ears for your non-text content. They allow it to understand the information contained in visuals and audio and integrate that understanding into a comprehensive, multimodal picture of your content. Don't neglect them.
So make everything accessible to the AI and structure.
Yes, and then it's vital to enhance the physical signals on your site using structured data markup, most commonly schema.org vocabulary. Use it to clearly label important entities mentioned in your content, things like authors with their credentials, organizations, products with attributes like price and availability, events with dates and locations, recipes, reviews. The list is long. This gives the AI explicit, unambiguous information about the things your content discusses. Furthermore, establishing clear, logical internal link clusters within your website helps to signpost the relationships between your different pieces of content, show how your articles connect. All of this is like giving the AI a meticulously organized, clearly labeled map of your entire knowledge domain. It makes it much easier for the AI to navigate your site, understand the hierarchy of information, grasp the interconnectedness of your content, and ultimately retrieve the right pieces more effectively.
Okay, so that's retrievability. Be comprehensive, describe everything, structure everything. Now, once the AI has successfully found your content, the next hurdle is equally critical, right? The AI needs to be able to actually use it effectively, pull the facts out. That brings us to rule 2. Optimize for extractability. Get a pass. Even if your content gets found, if it's presented as just a dense wall of text, or it's messy, disorganized, full of jargon, or just fact sparse, it becomes incredibly difficult, maybe impossible, for an LLM to reliably extract the meaningful information it needs for synthesis. You need to make your content impeccably digestible for the AI.
Precisely. Extractability is all about clarity and structure at a granular level. This means adopting an AI-friendly structure in your writing style, prioritizing clarity and conciseness above almost everything else. What does that look like in practice? Think in terms of short, well-defined paragraphs. Ideally, each paragraph should focus on making one clear, distinct point or presenting one key piece of information. Avoid long, rambling paragraphs that try to cover too much. Actively use bulleted and numbered lists whenever possible. They are fantastic for breaking down complex information, outlining processes, listing features or attributes into easily digestible and highly extractable chunks for an AI. AIs love lists.
They seem to. What about headings?
Absolutely critical. Employ clear hierarchical subheadings using H2s, H3s, H4s tags correctly to provide a logical structure and clear navigation pathways for the AI. This helps it follow the flow of your arguments and understand the relationship between different sections. And for any data you present, statistics, comparisons, specifications, use small, clearly labeled tables. Tables present structured data concisely and unambiguously, making individual data points readily identifiable and easily extractable for the AI. Avoid huge, complex tables, though. Keep them focused.
And the content itself, you mentioned factual density earlier.
Yes, crucially, you need to deliberately work to increase the density of evidence in your writing. What does this mean? It means being ruthless about cutting out empty marketing language, industry jargon that doesn't add meaning, vague fluff, or sentences that just repeat information without adding value. Focus intensely on providing clear, concise, valuable facts, figures, statistics, definitions, and verifiable information. Every sentence, ideally, should contribute meaningful, extractable data relevant to the topic. be direct, be factual, and especially for topics where information changes rapidly, keep your content fresh and demonstrably up to date. Regularly review and update it. And importantly, clearly mark the date of the last update or the content's version number. This signals timeliness and reliability to the AI.
It's interesting. All these things, short paragraphs, lists, headings, clear facts, keeping things updated. They also make the content much better for human readers too, don't they?
That's what's truly fascinating here. This disciplined approach to structure, clarity, and evidence density, which is becoming essential for AI extractability, also happens to significantly improve the reading experience and comprehension for your human audience. It makes your content more scannable, more accessible, easier to understand, and ultimately more trustworthy for everyone. So optimizing for the machine often leads to optimizing for the human as well. It's a fundamental win-win strategy. There's no real downside to making your content clearer and more factual.
A definite win-win. Okay, that covers extractability. And finally, we arrive at the ultimate goal, the grand prize in this new content game. Rule 3, optimize for trust. Secure your victory. This is about earning that coveted spot, getting your content directly cited, becoming the source material in an AI's generated answer. And for that to happen, as you said, your content, your site, your brand must be undeniably, irrefutably trustworthy in the eyes of the AI. This feels like the highest bar to clear.
It absolutely is the highest bar, and this pillar of trust is becoming paramount, perhaps more so than ever before in the digital age, given the potential for AI misinformation. The foundations of establishing this trust are multifaceted. First, you must be continually actively erecting signals of EEAT. That acronym, originally from Google's quality guidelines, stands for expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. You need to demonstrate these qualities consistently.
How do you demonstrate them?
A key way is through clear and transparent author and source information. Explicitly identify who created the content, what are their qualifications, what's their relevant background or direct experience with the topic, why should anyone, human or AI, trust what they have to say. Link to author bios, provide credentials. Transparency builds credibility.
Makes sense. What else builds trust?
It also means being a responsible citizen of the information ecosystem yourself by actively citing high-quality external sources within your own content. When you reference reputable research papers, cite official statistics, link to established news organizations, or point to other authoritative voices to support your claims, this act of citation itself becomes a powerful signal of trust. It tells the AI, and by extension the user, that you're not just making things up off the top of your head or presenting unsubstantiated opinions as fact. You're grounding your information in a network of verifiable external knowledge. You're participating in the web of trust.
So citing others helps build your own trust. That's interesting. Anything else? Technical aspects?
Yes, absolutely. On a fundamental technical level, you must ensure robust website security and technical integrity. These are foundational trust signals. This means having HTTPS encryption enabled across your entire site that's non-negotiable now. It means guaranteeing fast loading speeds because slow sites feel unreliable, and ensuring a mobile-friendly, responsive design that works well on all devices. These foundational technical elements not only build a baseline of credibility and provide a positive user experience, but they also signal professionalism, reliability, and trustworthiness to sophisticated AI systems, which increasingly factor these technical health metrics into their overall assessment of a source's authority and quality. Don't neglect the basics.
Okay, EEAT, transparency, citing others, technical health.
Yeah.
It's a lot to manage. So bringing this all together, what does this GEO playbook really mean for the content landscape overall?
Well, the key takeaway is that GEO isn't just a new checklist of tactical optimizations to layer on top of your old SEO efforts. It represents a profound, almost philosophical shift in how we need to approach content creation itself. It's about meticulously preparing your content for a future where AI agents act as information brokers and synthesizers just as much as human users read and click. It's about recognizing that the primary mode of information consumption is shifting, from users pulling information via links to users receiving synthesized answers directly. Therefore, it's about evolving your mindset. You need to move from thinking of yourself solely as a website publisher to thinking of yourself as a reliable, structured data provider for the emerging global knowledge base that these AI systems are building and querying. Those creators, those brands, those publishers who truly embrace this mindset, who commit deeply to GEO's triple standard of retrievability, extractability, and trust. They're the ones who will find immense opportunities and build enduring success in this new, rapidly evolving ecosystem. It truly is an exciting, challenging, but also opportunity-rich time to be creating valuable content.
The future of warfare, multimodality, intelligent agents, and ecological hegemony.
Wow. Okay, we've spent a significant portion of this deep dive really deconstructing the present battlefield, haven't we? We've looked at the current infrastructure, the weapons, we've analyzed the leading contenders and their strategies, and we've laid out the new rules of engagement with GEO. But this war, this transformation of search, it's far from over. It feels like we're still in the early innings. The horizon, the future, holds even more fascinating, maybe even more disruptive developments that will continue to reshape how we interact with information and, really, the entire digital world around us.
That's absolutely right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these upcoming trends we're starting to see emerge aren't just going to be incremental improvements or minor tweaks. They're poised to further blur the lines, the already blurry lines between searching for information, deeply understanding context, and even actively performing tasks in the real world. They represent the next frontier in the evolution of information access, pushing us towards a future of truly ambient, proactive, and perhaps even agentic intelligence.
Let's talk about some of these trends. First up, 1. Multimodal search becomes standard. It seems pretty clear that search won't just be about typing text into a box and getting text back anymore, will it? The way we interact with our devices, our expectations, they're rapidly expanding beyond text.
Absolutely not. The days of text in, text out being the dominant mode are quickly receding into history, I think. The new norm, increasingly, will be searching across modalities. We'll be searching by submitting an image, using our voice naturally, maybe pointing our camera at something, referencing specific clips within a video, perhaps even sketching an idea or using other sensory inputs in the future. To enable this, the underlying AI search infrastructure must evolve significantly to support deep semantic understanding and what we might call equal retrieval of all these diverse formats.
Equal retrieval, meaning it treats images and text the same.
Essentially, yes. It means if you show the system a picture of a rare flower you saw on a hike, it needs to understand the visual elements, the shape, the color, the texture, as deeply and meaningfully as it would understand a detailed textual description of that same flower. And then, based on that visual understanding, it should be able to retrieve relevant information in any format, text articles, other similar images, maybe videos of the flower growing. What's truly fascinating here and incredibly challenging from an AI perspective is the sheer complexity of understanding context and nuance across these different media types simultaneously. How do you parse the visual aesthetics or the style of an image? The emotional tone or intent conveyed in a voice query? The specific action or sequence depicted in a short video clip? It demands a much more holistic, integrated understanding of information, far beyond just processing text.
The implications for us as users seem huge, though, just the convenience factor alone.
Oh, immense. Think about the convenience of searching for a product, maybe a piece of furniture or clothing, by simply showing your phone a picture of something similar you liked in a magazine or saw someone wearing. Or imagine getting a complex recipe read out to you, step by step, just by speaking its name and having the AI understand subtle nuances in your voice to adjust for dietary preferences or ingredient substitutions you mention. Or showing it a video clip of a specific dance move or a tricky guitar chord, and instantly getting back targeted tutorials or explanations. It promises a much more natural, intuitive, and ultimately frictionless way to interact with information, one that more closely mirrors how we naturally perceive and interact with the world around us through multiple senses.
Okay, so search becomes multimodal. What's next? You mentioned moving beyond just information.
Yes, the second major trend is two, from answers to actions. The ultimate endpoint of a search interaction is dramatically shifting. It's no longer going to be just about receiving a piece of information or a synthesized answer. Increasingly, it's going to be about achieving task completion directly through or initiated by the search or AI assistant interface.
Right. As Microsoft Copilot is already pushing hard with its deep integration into the Office suite and Windows, this is about moving beyond just telling you how to do something to actually helping you get it done.
Precisely. Future AI search systems, or perhaps we should start calling them intelligent agents, will possess the capability not just to provide you with instructions or relevant data, but to directly call software APIs, operate applications within your operating system or on the web, complete complex multi-step reservations, manage your calendar, handle online purchases, and much more. They become true intelligent agents acting on your behalf.
Wow. So give me some concrete examples.
Imagine the power of booking a flight, comparing options, selecting seats, entering passenger details, completing the payment all through a conversational interface with your AI agent without ever having to visit multiple airline websites or navigate complex booking forms, or ordering your weekly groceries based on your usual preferences and maybe a dinner plan you discussed, adding items to the cart, checking out and scheduling delivery,
or scheduling a complex multi-party meeting across different time zones, finding a time that works for everyone based on calendar access, sending out the invites, or even managing your smart home devices, turn down the thermostat, lock the front door, play my evening playlist. All of this initiated and potentially completed directly through your primary AI interface. It's about moving beyond simply providing data to proactively and intelligently performing tasks on your behalf, anticipating your needs and executing them seamlessly. This represents a monumental leap in user convenience, productivity, and efficiency.
That convergence of information access and direct action, it sounds incredibly powerful. But it also leads us directly to the next big trend you mentioned. Three, platform ecosystem confrontation. Because if these AI agents are controlling not just information, but also actions, the platform they run on becomes incredibly important. This battle for the future of search is clearly no longer just about individual products like a browser or a search engine. It's about entire sprawling ecosystems vying for control over our digital lives and interactions. This feels like where the long-term strategic game truly heats up.
This is indeed where the struggle for ultimate control, for what some analysts call ecological hegemony, really intensifies. It becomes the central battleground. We're talking about a fierce, high-stakes, multi-front struggle over controlling the default settings on our devices, over privileged access to invaluable user data generated across multiple touchpoints, and ultimately over who controls the primary gateway, the main interface to both information and task execution in our daily lives. We will absolutely continue to see Google leveraging its dominant Android Chrome Search Gemini ecosystem, Microsoft pushing its integrated Windows Microsoft 365 Edge CoPilot ecosystem, and potentially OpenAI trying to build its own ecosystem through its API partnerships and perhaps future hardware or OS integrations. Apple, too, is a huge player here with its tightly integrated iOS Mac Siri ecosystem.
Yeah, you can't forget Apple.
Definitely not. This ongoing platform war raises a truly important question for you, the user, to consider. Who will control the gateway to information and tasks in your digital life? Increasingly, your fundamental choice of phone operating system, your preferred web browser, or even the productivity suite your company uses might dictate and define your entire search, information, and task management experience, perhaps more profoundly than ever before. This isn't just about which search engine gives the best results. It's a battle for the fundamental architecture of your digital existence, and the prize is deep integration into your daily workflows.
A battle for the gateway. Okay. And finally, one last future trend to consider. 4. The game between open source and closed source LLMs. This dynamic, the tension between open innovation and proprietary systems, feels like it's going to have a significant, maybe unpredictable impact on the future trajectory of this search war. How do you see that playing out?
That's a really critical dynamic to watch. What's particularly noteworthy here is the rapid progress and the increasing power and sophistication of open-source large language models, models like Meta's Llama series and its many capable derivatives, Mistral's models, and others. When you couple the availability of these powerful open-source LLMs with the maturation of increasingly robust open-source vector databases like wev8 or Milvus and open-source retrieval frameworks, well, it dramatically lowers the barrier to entry for building advanced, capable AI search and answer engine functionalities.
So it's becoming easier for smaller players to build something competitive.
Significantly easier, yes. It means that innovative startups, smaller tech companies, academic research groups, even potentially individual developers or niche communities can now realistically create powerful, custom AI-driven search experiences without necessarily needing to invest billions of dollars in proprietary foundational model research, massive dedicated GPU infrastructure, or vast proprietary training datasets like the giants do. They can stand on the shoulders of this open-source innovation.
What are the implications of that democratization?
Well, the implication here is truly fascinating and potentially quite disruptive to the current oligopoly. This could lead to much greater ecosystem fragmentation. We might see a flourishing of specialized, niche search engines tailored to specific industries, hobbies, or information needs. It could foster greater innovation overall as more diverse players experiment with novel interfaces and approaches. It might lead to the rapid emergence of entirely new challengers we haven't even heard of yet, or entirely new kinds of information interfaces beyond the traditional search box. It could, potentially, democratize the power of AI search, allowing more diverse voices, perspectives, and business models to build and compete. Or, at the very least, it's likely to create even more diverse options and choices for you, the user, and how you decide to access, process, and interact with information online. It's a dynamic that keeps the entire landscape fluid, highly competitive, and incredibly exciting to watch unfold in the coming years. The giants won't necessarily have it all their own way. Outro.
Wow. What an absolutely expansive journey we've been on today, and really throughout this entire season. We've gone from those familiar, almost nostalgic 10 blue links all the way to the cutting edge of AI-driven, proactive, multimodal answers and actions. This deep dive, and indeed this entire season two, has really laid bare the fundamental and I think irreversible transformation happening across the internet. The new search war is profoundly changing everything. It's driven by that deep technological shift from mere keyword indexing to sophisticated semantic vectors, from simple document sorting to intelligent, context-aware resorting, and critically, from basic retrieval of documents to the powerful grounding force of retrieval augmented generation, RAGs.
Absolutely. And as we've meticulously explored today, for all the major players currently locked in this battle, Google defending its turf, OpenAI disrupting from the outside, Microsoft leveraging its ecosystem, Perplexity championing transparency, and all the many others watching and waiting in the wings, the ultimate key to enduring victory seems to lie not just in possessing these powerful new technologies, but in determining who can most effectively, most seamlessly integrate this complex new tech stack into a coherent, compelling, and genuinely useful user experience. And crucially, who can imbue that experience with unique ecological value, those deep integrations, those action capabilities that truly resonates with users and solves their deepest information and task-related needs. It's about integration and value now, not just raw tech.
Well said. And turning back to our listeners, especially the creators, the publishers, the brands out there, the message from this deep dive couldn't be clearer or frankly more urgent. The old rules of online visibility, of influence, of digital impact, they have been completely rewritten. But within that change lies immense opportunity. Huge opportunities are waiting for those who proactively understand and embrace generative engine optimization. If you commit fully to GEO's triple standard, focusing relentlessly on retrievability, extractability, and building trust, and if you start thinking of your content not just as pages on a website, but as a valuable, structured contribution to the global knowledge base, as a sophisticated data provider for AI, you will position yourself to find tremendous success and build lasting relevance in this new evolving ecosystem. It truly is an exciting, albeit challenging time to be creating valuable digital content.
It really is. And perhaps this raises one final important question for you, our listener, to ponder as we conclude this season and this deep dive into the new search war. As search continues its evolution, moving from passively showing links to proactively generating answers, to deeply understanding unspoken intent, and even to taking direct actions on your behalf, what new responsibilities do we all share? What responsibilities do we have as users consuming the synthesized information and as creators shaping the data that feeds these systems? How do we collectively ensure that the information flowing through these incredibly powerful AI systems is accurate, that it's trustworthy, that the processes are transparent, and that this technology ultimately truly serves the public good in this new era of AI? It's a profound ethical and practical challenge that deserves our continued active attention and discussion.
That is a truly vital question to reflect on as we close out not just this deep dive, but our entire second season. A lot to think about there. We definitely encourage all of you listening to continue exploring these concepts further, to stay curious, ask the hard questions, and keep digging deeper into the technologies and strategies that will undoubtedly shape our digital future. Now, this deep dive and this entire season two exploring the shifts in search and AI has been brought to you by our sponsor, ACMO, which is powered by A Marketing OS. AICMO is the first UK-based marketing operating system, and it's built specifically for next-gen brands. Their mission is to help creators, solo entrepreneurs, and lean startups drive organic traffic and scale their efforts sustainably. How? By automating the entire SEO and, crucially, the generative engine optimization GEO process we've talked so much about today. In just minutes, using a CMO, you can publish content that is 100% human-like, that's Google-ready, and is optimized for search rankings, for user intent, and for keyword precision. Plus, and this is key in the context of today's discussion, they position your brand to actually appear in those AI-generated answers from systems like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, Claude, Grok, DeepSeek, and others. With AI CMO, the goal isn't just for you to get discovered through traditional search, it's for you to become the first name, the trusted source that AI recommends. AI CMO's A Marketing OS is actively embracing these very trends we've discussed today, building tools designed to allow you not just to adapt to this new search war, but to truly thrive in it. So that's AI CMO, built for next-gen brands, get ranked on Google, recommended by AI. Thank you all so much for joining us for Season 2 of The Deep Dive. It has been an absolutely incredible journey of discovery, digging into these transformative topics with you. We hope you found it valuable. We certainly can't wait to share more insights and explorations with you in the future. Until next time, please keep digging deeper, keep exploring these fascinating technological and strategic frontiers, and always stay curious.